In this video, we are diving into Brat, the album that has dominated the summer of 2024 thanks to Charli XCX and her incredible marketing tactics. I got 4 key takeaways from her marketing strategy for this record that you as artists and creators can take and apply to your own promotional efforts to get people to care about your work just a little bit more. So let's break down how Charli marketed this album and how you guys can use some of this in your own marketing efforts. At some point in late April of this year, a select group of Charli XCX fans got access to this account called 360 Brat. Oh! What's up, dude? How you doing? This account was basically a burner account, or a Finsta account as the kids like to call it these days. Charli would keep the account private for prolonged periods of time, except for very small, short windows of time where she'd change the account to public and have floods of fans following that account. And this account kind of served 2 purposes: promote the album that she was creating as she was creating it, and foster a little bit of a parasocial relationship with her audience. Everyone loves a good parasocial relationship, right? On the 360 Brat account, Charli would post exclusive content about her album that she was working on, pictures of her in the studio, talking about different collaborators on the project and stuff like that, getting people super excited about the project. Another thing that she did was she would be hosting these kind of like unfiltered Q&A sessions where she would invite her audience to ask questions about the music industry and different artists and stuff like that, and she would spill some tea, talk about some beef, talk about some drama. She would basically answer these questions in the same tone that she was like texting one of her friends. Very comfortable, very unfiltered, and very authentic to herself. Like I said, maybe some unintentional parasocial relationship building there, but I mean, it's no secret that the account did a great job at establishing a deeper connection with Charli and her fans. I'm not gonna sit here and say that if you're a smaller artist, you should create a private Instagram account and try to get your fans to follow it. Probably won't work out. People will probably think you're a little weird for trying to do that, but there are some things that we can take away from the 360 Brat account that you can apply to your own social media marketing that is super important. Before we get into that though, I do want to mention this idea of like internet karma. It's essentially the idea that you get out what you put in when it comes to building audiences and interacting with different people online. Charli is really good at posting and interacting with her audience, and she knows exactly what type of person listens to her music and who she's trying to attract to listen to her music. She's posting online on TikTok all the time. She's posting on Twitter. She's interacting with these people that listen to her music, and she's just constantly putting in a lot of effort and engaging with these people, and it paid off in a huge way with this album. I experienced this whole idea of internet karma firsthand through my own music. When I first started making music, I was just posting it online. I wasn't engaging with any online communities or like trying to like talk to people online about my music or anything like that. I was just kind of posting it into the void. That wasn't until I started making music reviews online on YouTube, and I started interacting with communities of people that were kind of like the same, who listened to the same type of music that I was making. And then eventually when I released more music after building that audience and interacting with that group of people, funniest thing happened. People actually gave a shit about the music that I was releasing. So it's super important that you find a community online that kind of matches the type of person that you are making music for, and you engage with those people, you talk with those people, you interact with those people, and you be your most authentic self online. People can sniff out the bullshit, okay? Even through a screen, people can sniff out the bullshit. And also, it's very worth noting that you are the only person on this planet that is exactly like you. So you got to turn that into one of your greatest weapons in your arsenal when it comes to, thinking about how to make online content and have an online presence. Another thing that the 360 Brat account did really well was making the actual audience member or the follower a part of the journey of the album's creation. Charli would post numerous updates about the album's creation on the 360 Brat account. Things from pictures of herself in the studio, different artists that she was collaborating with, all this really exciting stuff. And this is something that's really important for smaller artists to kind of get into, to kind of really make sure you're making your audience a part of the journey of the creation process. This kind of serves 2 different purposes, right? One is just constantly reminding people that you are currently working on something. So that's kind of always in the back of their head. It also does a great job at like building up hype for the album, especially if you're posting some like really exciting stuff. There's also something really special to be said about creating a moment in time that your audience could be a part of. You're almost making it like this whole event, and you're making these people a part of this moment in history that will never be a thing again. It's super easy too, man. man. Post pictures of your Ableton sessions, right? Like make a whiteboard of like a checklist with each song on it and like check stuff off as you're going throughout the process. There's a bunch of these like little things that you can do that I did when I was marketing my album Corporate House as I was making it. You can check it out, link in the description if you want to listen to it. And it got people really excited about the album, and eventually when I released the album, people actually listened to it on the release day because they knew over time that I was working on it and I was chipping away at it. You gotta let your audience into the kitchen, man. You gotta show them that you're making the sausage, show them how the sausage is being made, and just
You can't just say the same thing twice differently.
So the bottom line is you got to figure out where your community lives online. You got to engage with that community authentically, and you got to let that community into your kitchen. In early May, a Brat green wall appeared somewhere in Brooklyn, New York, and this was the beginning of the Brat wall. The Brat wall was a huge part of the marketing campaign for the album Crash. Just kidding, it's Brat. I'm just making sure you're paying attention. Basically, this wall acted as a huge billboard for the album, but the thing that made it, more unique than a billboard was the fact that it was able to be like updated whenever Charli wanted to update it. Brat wall remained blank for a little bit until she added the words "I'm your favorite" reference onto it, and then she changed it to the words Brat, and then after that she painted the entire wall white and changed it to Brat, but it's the same, but there's 3 more songs on it, so it's not. Then after that she repainted it to say the word Lord, and then eventually the Brat wall came to an end with one final message, just straight up okay bye. We've seen artists promote their music through billboards all the time, like this is not a new thing, right? But being able to change it and update it in real time, that's what made the wall special, because it seemed like every single week there was a new reason for fans to go visit the wall. The more people that would go visit the wall, the more people that would take pictures of the wall, post the wall, and then it would just blossom. So I'm hearing you, right? You're like, Kyle, I don't have the money to just rent out a wall in one of the most expensive cities in the world and then hire a bunch of painters to go paint something new on the wall every single week. And I'm hearing you, okay? But I'm sorry, I guess you're kind of out of luck on this one. Just kidding, baby. Guerrilla marketing. Let's talk about it. It's a concept that I came up with, guerrilla marketing. It's essentially the marketing tactic that kind of forgoes traditional marketing tactics. It's very kind of unconventional marketing strategies. The Brat wall is a great example of this. Another good example of this would be the Brat trucks that were driving around London on the day of Brat's release, which I did see in person, but no one's going to believe me because I don't have a picture of it. And why would I be in London on the day of Brat's release? Beats me. If you're a smaller artist, guerrilla marketing can be really good. If you spend a lot of time and effort thinking about your guerrilla marketing strategy, you can probably come up with a really unique way to market yourself. And also, there could be a lot of like kind of viral potential to it. I think the best guerrilla marketing tactic is something that is like done in the real world that has a lot of potential in the digital world as well. I'm not gonna be able to tell you a bunch of groundbreaking ideas for guerrilla marketing because if we remember our first lesson about being authentic, I do think you have to think about something that will coincide with your project in a very authentic way. But I will give you a couple of ideas to kind of get the creative juices flowing. You can sticker bomb your city. You can graffiti a train like that. Like, maybe don't do that. Maybe don't graffiti the train. That's kind of probably illegal. You can put up like a sticker or like a print of like some of your artwork on just like a telephone pole or something like that, and have a QR code saying more here, and that leads to your Instagram. Also, you know those like flyers that say like please take one, and they got the little cutouts on the bottom? You can like have like some really creative copy on there, have people take a piece of the paper, and on the piece of paper it says like it has like your Spotify link or something like that. The possibilities can pretty much be endless. I did something for Corporate House, my new album that you can check out, link in the description. I did something where I did like this kind of CD giveaway where anyone who made a post about the album, if you made like a review or a piece of art about the album and you posted it, that would give you a chance to win a free CD of my new album. Put some time thinking into, what your guerrilla marketing tactic will be. But I think this is something that is kind of underutilized with a lot of artists these days. Alright, so it's no secret that the Brat's album cover sticks out like a sore thumb. It's literally just this like super off-putting shade of green with some black text over it. Not your average album cover. I'm not like the other album covers type album cover. It really looks like Charli kind of just came up with this, 5 minutes before uploading the album on the streaming services. But as I dove into the process of designing this album cover, I realized that it was a lot more intentional than what we might think. From what I've been able to find online, the design process for this album took 5 months. And then the designer, Brent David Freeney, went through 500 different shades of green to find the right shade of green for this album cover. While on the surface that sounds pretty fucking obsessive for an album cover like this, I think that is also the reason why the album cover is as recognizable today as it is. The album cover is incredibly recognizable now. Everyone knows the Brat album cover. People probably recognize the cover more than the actual music itself. And that is because, of course, everyone's posting about the album. They have this thing called bratgenerator.com where you can write whatever you want and put it over the album cover of Brat, which just makes it so much more easier for people to, post memes about the album cover. I'm not trying to say that you're just one shade of green away from being an overnight sensation, but there's definitely something to say about how important the album cover is to an album's success. First impressions are super important online, and what's the first impression of your album? It's your album cover. It's in the same sense of the way that a YouTube thumbnail is extremely important to the overall success of the YouTube video. There's been many times where I've been scrolling through Tidal, because I don't use Spotify, I use Tidal because I'm cool like that. And then I see an album cover that sticks out to me, and that's the one that I want to listen to. And it also happens on Rate Your Music when I'm scrolling through new releases and stuff like that, and I see an album cover that sticks out to me, I want to check it out. It also works in the opposite way, where if there's an album cover that's not very intriguing to me, I'm not going to care about it. The #1 complaint that I've gotten from my previous album, Corporate House, that you can check out, of course, link in the description. #1 complaint that I got was that the album cover sucked. It now definitely irks me a little bit thinking about the amount of people that may have scrolled past the album because they just didn't appreciate the album cover, or they thought that it would be something else. I'm not saying you gotta Mr. Beast your album covers and throw up like, whoa! But it is important to really dive deep into the album cover design and think about something that is super authentic to the music, that is also really eye-catching. Ultimately, just find something that's gonna stand out in a sea of other album covers.
It's so confusing sometimes.
All right, this final strategy is something that I think is overlooked a lot in all forms of artists. Whether you're a painter, a creator, or a musician. I think especially musicians can benefit a lot from this. Before we dive into that, I do want to briefly mention my Patreon page here. For just $5 a month, you can get access to a whole bunch of stuff that if you're a creative person or an artist, you will find a lot of value in. I got a weekly newsletter where I'm posting advice for people like you. I've got research documents. If you want to dive deeper into the topics that I discussed in these videos, you can find these research documents. There's one for the Brat video on Patreon, man. You can send me your artwork. We can have artwork review sessions. There's a lot of stuff that you can do to gain some value out of this Patreon page, especially if you're an artist trying to make your way in the free world, man. So check it out, link in the description, $5 a month. Back to Brat! I think one of the smartest things that Charli XCX has done in the marketing campaign of this record was release different versions of her songs as collaborations with different artists that are just at the top of their game right now. Charli released versions of songs with people like Young Lean, Addison Rae, Lorde, and Billie Eilish. Those last two remixes, by the way, the one with Lorde and the one with Billie Eilish, were internet-breaking remixes. I'm not entirely sure if a lot of small artists what's up? I'm not entirely sure if a lot of small artists understand the actual benefit of collaboration, like in terms of not only just audience growth, but also the fact of like building a community of people that are like-minded and also being able to learn from that community. The great thing about collaborating with another artist is that when you release it on a streaming platform, like say Spotify, for example, right? It gets pushed to both of your audiences. And then also, if you're posting about the song on both of your social media pages and getting a lot of organic engagement on that, it's a really good recipe for mutual growth. Of course, you're not gonna be able to just hit up Lorde and ask for a collaboration, okay? That's just probably not gonna happen. But remember what we were talking about earlier when it came to like finding your community online and engaging authentically with those people. You got to do that, but with artists as well. Find people that are making music in the same style as you, that you respect, that you want to learn from, that you want to establish a relationship with, and just talk to them, man. Just be your authentic self. Be yourself, man. I also wouldn't be so focused on like, oh, this person only has 300 monthly listeners. I got 3,000 monthly listeners. I'm not going to collaborate with them, because you can still benefit from that. You know, those 300 people probably don't even know who the fuck you are, okay? Mr. High and Mighty. And then another thing is making music, especially if you do it by yourself, can probably get a little bit lonely. This also goes for all different types of art. But if you find like a community of people that are kind of doing the same thing that you are doing, and you can hit them up and you can be like, hey, check this out. What do you think about this? I want to do this. How would you go about doing that? You're kind of developing that relationship with different artists. So you start building a community of people that are like-minded as you, and you can all kind of grow together and kind of come up together. If you can actually make a friend out of this person that you want to collaborate with, that's the real victory. Those are the 4 lessons that I was able to find from Charli XCX's marketing tactics that I think a lot of you guys can use in your own promotional efforts. If you found this video valuable, then please check out the Patreon page, link in the description below. Maybe I'll be able to pay my cameraman if you subscribe to the Patreon page. Also, go check out my album Corporate House, link in the description as well.